Hi, and welcome back to Rigonomicon.com. We'll be doing part 2 now of building a rig for LankyCon. We're going to be doing this with the least amount of bacon plugins. So bacon strip plugins, the only ones I'm going to be using for this will be for the preheat, so we can transfer mocap without breaking the rig. There's nothing in Maya that can help us do that, so that's the only thing that we're going to be we could set it up, but it's incredibly complicated to do that without some sort of plugin. Okay, in this case, we've already done the skinning, we've done the naming, we've done the alignments. The bones should be perfectly aligned. Everything should be zeroed out if I select any of these bones. There's some issues with the skinning, but for the most part, there shouldn't be any problems. I'm going to deactivate this. Hopefully that won't cause us any trouble. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm also going to change this to be gray. So while I'm rigging, I'm not distracted by the any of I won't have any problems with the mesh. And because we're not using bacon strip plugins for like bacon bones and stuff like that, we won't have X-ray on certain objects that we will be creating. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at the floor here and make sure that the grid is something that I can use. You can just right click on the grid and go grid options. Right now I have it set to 50, 10, and 2. I'm going to set it to 4. Just to have a little bit more definition around, because if I want to create things that snap onto the grid, because since we're not using bacon shapes, we're going to be using splines primarily. Another thing that we're going to probably want to do is change the viewport so that we can actually see the splines lines. It's going to make, unfortunately, the only option we have in Maya is to make the line width here. I can set it to 2. Unfortunately, it's going to make everything like that. I'm just going to add a little bit of anti-aliasing in this case so it doesn't hurt my eyes. It's not bad, honestly. If it makes everything this thickness, it's not the worst. Little by little, we'll be removing some of these bones and well, visually, and we'll be replacing them with circles and stuff like that. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing that I'm thinking of is, for an MVP rig, we should figure out how to do the feet, and because we're going to want to be able to grab the center of mass and move it around and have the feet stay on the ground, be able to lift off the foot, and that's the hardest thing to do. Once we have that done, we're going to transfer it over to the other side as well, and then we're going to do the center of mass so that we can control this, because we use a slightly different setup for where the pelvis is and where the spine is. It's always good to try things a little differently, see what it gives you. This is more akin to Unreal. So this is where the belt line is. Most of our controls are going to be here, are going to live here, and then we're going to have controls for the center of mass, so that it will be down here. Like, we'll have a circle down here. Okay, so let's just get started. One of the things we're going to be doing a lot is we're going to be going to create circle. Okay, now the problem with being the right height is that a lot of the interface, unfortunately, if I go here and I change the radius, this is the maximum radius that we're going to have. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by making a circle that can go like cover the ground. So it's something that we will use to control the whole foot. And I'm just going to create these shapes that I need for this, and then we're going to transfer these shapes onto actual bones that are properly aligned, and that's all we're going to be doing, and then just doing a very quick hierarchy and so on. All right, so because we're going to need to hide the mesh every once in a while or change it, I'm going to create a specific layer for it. I'm going to call this mesh, and I'm going to save. So now if I want to hide the mesh, I can just do that. If I want to set it to reference or template, we can do that. And I'm just going to have that ready in case I need it. Okay, so this object is going to turn into something that can control the entire foot at the bottom. And I could have actually gone in and created a shape myself using the snaps. The way you would do that, just so that you know, you go into create. Let's see here. It should be curve tools. And if you open up the options, oh, it's on my other screen. I'm going to set it to linear and with a uniform. And what that does is it will allow me to do stuff like this kind of thing. I press X and now I'm snapping to the screen, to the grid on the ground. It goes over here and you can finish it like this. Doing this is way better than using the like creating an actual under NURBS, creating a square. Look, I'll just do it real quick. The square object is frankly not very handy because it's made up of actual individual lines. It's quite terrible. So this is no way to work. So all I'm going to do now is, well, you know what? We're going to use this as our for the ground. I was going to make it something a little bit softer, but this is fine. And the other thing that I'm going to do is, as we're going, we're going to be making duplicates of it on the other side just to make sure. Maya out of the box does not come with a mirror tool for NURBS. Surprisingly, there's not a lot of tools for NURBS or splines. So I created one here, duplicate, mirror curve spline. Book. It creates another one on the other side that we will then use to create our character. Now for the controls on top, I'm going to use this circle now, and I'm just going to go into sub mode so that it automatically will jump to this, and I can select things without worrying about accidentally selecting other things. And I'm going to just take the corners and I'm just going to scale them out a little bit like that, and it's going to create pretty much the shape that I'm looking for. So something like this ought to do it. I think I may have overdone it. Hang on a second. This, and this. I'll just push it the other way. Do not scale things. I can't help mention this. Do not scale things by changing the scale of the object. You're not doing yourself any favors by doing that. So I'm just going to bring this up. This is going to be the thing that controls the toes. Okay, so maybe we can bring it out here. Whoop. Was that the... No, it was just the hand that got in the way. Okay. So if I move around here like so, this is going to be okay for the foot. And then I'm going to use this like so and rotate it into place. And then this will be the shape we will use to control the upper part. So basically this will have a pivot point that's where the ball of the foot is, and we'll be able to lift the toe from that point, lift the foot from that ball of the foot. And then here we're going to have a controller for the toe. We're going to have this for the entire thing, but the pivot point is going to be in the back. And we just need some sort of control down here for the foot to roll forward. Now, this shape, I'm going to just make a little modification to the shape. So maybe I can do this and do them both at the same time. I'm just going to grab these vertices and use... oh, it won't let me... Yeah, it will. Okay, but I want to do all of them. And press... Okay, so I have to use that. Okay, so I just want to do this because I'm going to set a line that goes across here, and then this will be the control for lifting off the toe. Yeah, so there's many ways we could do this. Because I want to show you kind of the things that are in Maya that can help us with this, I'm going to create a normal, a default locator like the one in Maya. And one of the things I want to show you is that you have no way of changing the visual through the channel box, especially if you've activated the bullet plugins. It will knock out some common attributes with all shapes, which is something I actually had to fix for bacon strips so that plugins like that wouldn't interfere. But if you go into the attributes, you should still see it. Here they are. And I'm going to make this so that the I'm going to use the object directly, so it's going to be a z-axis. We'll make this a 5, maybe a 10. Okay, and now all I'm going to do is grab this thing and rotate it like so. And then move it by, I'm just using the snaps. So if I put this here roughly, that's a good place to lift. And then maybe we'll put this to 14. Nope, 12 it is. Okay, and then when we want to lift the toe off this point, we just select this point and we just rotate, and we'll be able to lift off of this. The ankle will automatically, like the heel will be over here, and yeah, and then we have these objects over here. So at this point, I'm just going to select these objects and change their display color so that it's easier to understand what's going on. Wire color, we're going to do this, or whatever color we want, maybe blue for this side. Okay, how about blue for this side? I think that's what we've been using. So now we have this little object here, which we're going to directly use, that goes like this, and you can rotate on the z-axis. We'll freeze it in a little bit, and then now we need stuff to be able to do this correctly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into joint create mode. I'm just going to create the one and change its radius to something so that I can see it. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to move this one into over here so that I have a heel. Now the thing is, this is the orientation is going to be world for the heel controller, so everything's going to be relative to this, to a world orientation. So that makes it easier for a lot of things. You don't need to mirror this. If you want to mirror this, we could do that. Yeah, you know what? Let's go for it. Let's make it so that it's friendly for mirroring and stuff like that. So I'm just going to go rotate, hold J, and make the X point forward. So that way, this is basically how I would do the rotation, right? So that the Z-axis is the thing I'll do for lifting, and it's pointing forward, and then I can move like this, and it will make the whole foot follow that point, and that will become this shape here in the back that we have. That's a big square. And we're already starting to create a little bit of a visual language. Anything that's square is basically IKs and constraints and controls. Anything that's circular is mostly going to be bones, direct access to bones. So instead of selecting the bone like this, you'll select the circle, and it'll be part of the bone. We will not be adding excessive constraints just to be able to select bones. That's ridiculous. There's an easy way of bypassing that. All right. So, anyways, point is, we got this thing. It's pointing in the right direction. If we were using the local objects, yeah, there you go. See, so X forward, Z is the rotation. We're good. All right. So now this guy is going to go where he is, and what we should do is create maybe another locator, so it's right, like it's going to be basically the root node for all the controls that are on top, and then that will be child of this object, which will be child of this object. We're going to get through it one by one, but yeah, so this is good so far. The only thing we need to make sure is that these shapes are duplicated onto the other side. So I'm just going to go duplicate and mirror curve splines. I'm just duplicating curves and setting myself up for success here. And then we're going to rename a few things and place a few things in the right place. Sorry about that. The Lanky Kong's arms are so big that they interfere with the feet when I spin around. So hopefully this won't be too much of a pain. So if I grab these two and I match it so that it's translation, that's good. So over here we have this joint. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so we can tell what it is. And yeah, we could leave it as a joint and then hide it, or just leave it like that. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to make 2 copies of it, and those 2 copies will become this object and that object. And later we'll get rid of the visuals so that we don't get confused. So this thing, so we can tell what it is, I'm going to apply it so that it's blue, and I'm going to make a Control D of it. And that radius will be a little bit bigger, right? So this will be the toe. And then I'll make another copy of this object. I'll do Control D again. And this thing will be a little bit bigger. Okay, so, and it's just so that we can tell which is which. We haven't given it names or anything. All I know is that this will be the root. And these two will have its visuals replaced, and they're exactly in the same place as these nodes. This object back here is going to be the actual controller for the foot. So we can put, I'm just going to use the convention C underscore controller foot underscore L. That's good enough. Like this is going to be the thing that controls everything. And here's what I mean by we're going to be replacing things. So if I select this and I select that, and then I go to shape, transfer shapes by basically by back and forth slalom selection. By doing that, now when I select this object, it's actually selecting this joint in the back, and now we can make it so that this is no longer. We can just say none. It'll get rid of the bone display, and now this object is selectable by just going like that. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. Okay, so now let's do the same thing with the controls up here. Let's give these things some names. This is going to be, don't worry about the radius. It doesn't matter. What's important is that it's got a proper alignment or local rotation axis. And I'm going to transfer this to this visually. So might as well do that so we can get an idea of what's going on here. So we can go like, let's transfer it. And then let's get rid of the visual. So now it's getting less confusing. So what you can see now is when I select this thing, it rotates at this point. And it's got the proper orientation and proper visual. And I'm just going to give it a name. So this is going to be C upper foot underscore foot underscore L. So controller upper foot. And then this guy is going to be the controller for the toe, so the lower foot. So this object here, it's just easy to select, but it's going to disappear very soon. So I'm just going to do this and then this. And I'm going to transfer the shape. Remember, shapes can be transferred. They're like subnodes. Transfer shape slalom. Yep, there was a little bit of a... was there something visually that changed? Well, it should be the same thing on the other side later. And there's a reason why I made copies of these things, just in case, because you cannot mirror things after you've attached to another thing. Anyways, point is, this is nice and clean, and we've got enough working for us here so we can build the other side. Now this guy is also going to be turned off, so none. Now it's getting a lot clearer as to what's what, and that's great. So that's good. And then this needs a name, so we're going to do control lower foot underscore L. Okay, and then we have this thing here, which is going to be control root foot. Maybe that might be confusing, so we're going to say, well, you know what? Let's just leave it like this. It's fine. We understand ourselves. This is a root node for these foot controls, and this is the actual foot controller for everything. So I think, I don't think there's any other roots, so it's going to be fine. And I'm just parenting them. I'm just making this object, that object, child of the one we just named, which will be this point here. We're going to press P. So now if I take this object and I rotate it, it does this thing. Okay, so that means if we make this child of anything on the ground, so if I were to do this kind of thing and parent it, this now, whenever I move this, it's going to move those two pieces as well. If I rotate this, it will follow. Now the problem is this is not following, and this is going to be the thing that lifts the toe off that point, or lift the foot off off the toes. So this should be a child of this, and this object you want it to lift with it, right? So you're going to make it child of. You're going to make this a child of this object. So if I lift here, it's going to lift the rest of the foot. And that's it. And so for this object here, if we wanted to, we could just make it, because we don't care, I would just say none and it's gone. It's in the hierarchy. It's named correctly. That's all we needed. Okay, so and everything's clean. So if we look at the layers here, we can freeze these objects and everything will be fine. Okay, so nice and easy. Nothing complicated. If we lift off of this, that's going to go there. So now what we're going to do is, oh, this we didn't name this correctly. So this will be controller lift underscore foot underscore left. So if we look here, we've got a couple of objects. We got controller for the foot, the lift, that root node that's just invisible right now. So it's just become a transform. And then we have these two other objects on top. That's nice and easy. That's good. Okay. So now what we're going to do, the fact that it's a little bit slanted is a little bit disconcerting. Just because we did a little rotation. Not too happy about that. But anyways, it should be okay. Yeah, there's no negative scaling. I'm just checking here if there's a negative scale somewhere. No, it seems like it's all fine. Okay, so basically now we could freeze all this. So I'm going to select this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and also this guy over here. So basically if I wanted to just go here all the way to the bottom and go freeze. Actually, we can't use the freeze. We need to do the shape because we want to freeze 0 to parent offset matrix. And the reason why we want that is these are controllers, so there's no problems with IK and skinning. These are just objects that have been zeroed out so that if I want the foot to come back to the ground, I can just set it to 0, rotations as well, and everybody's happy. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a IK handle and then 2 orientation constraints. So if I go to skeleton, create IK handle from here to here. Now, when I click it, I'm going to watch to see if there's any budging, any popping. Nothing. Okay, and I created something called IK handle. It's currently selected, but it's really, really tiny. It's over here. That will simply be, because it's already selected, I'm going to go Shift select with the upper controller and press P. It is now child of this, so if I were to rotate this or move it, it would follow, but we don't have our orientation constraints yet, but at least the IK is doing what it's supposed to. So now let's just do the 2 orientation constraints we need. We're pretty much done with the foot control, although we do need a pole vector. So let's go ahead and bring out the constraints. I'm going to do orientation constraint. And all we need to do is make this. I'm pressing Q to get rid of the gizmo so I can select things correctly. Right now I'm just in selection mode, or this button here. Just press that. So I'm just selecting this object and then this object, and I'm saying you need to follow what this guy's doing. And then I'm going to do maintain offset. I'm going to go apply. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the toe and this. Apply. And at this point, we now have a toe controller, and we can lift the foot off the ball of the foot, and that's nice. And also, if we have this is going to, like we did before, we know that these two are going to move along with it, and then this is going to lift off the heel, and we can move the entire foot relative to that. All's good. Now all we need is a pole vector, and we're good to go. This is just a visual issue, I think, because the object was we had rotations and a freeze, and it didn't like that. So I think from what I'm seeing here, everything just seems like all the numbers are clean. So it's just a visual issue. No big deal. We could remove this and add a new visual if we wanted to. It's up to us, whatever we want to do. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do here is we're going to add a pole vector. So I'm going to create a default locator, and I'm going to be able to change its scale through the attribute editor. Under locator shape. Unfortunately, the channel is missing. So we're going to just go 4, 4, 4. And this is not going to work for me for color. So we're going to make it blue. And there we go. We have a blue up vector. And because we've done such a good job with our orientations, I can select this object, select the calf, and do a match everything, translation and rotation. It's going to go straight there. Now, so because we have no X-ray with the locator, we're at the mercy of this. So because we did a good job, we should be able to stay within the triangle's plane. And if we just look this way, this is basically where it is. So if we move it anywhere here, it should be just fine. And I'm really pushing it here because we'll see how good or how well we aligned everything, because I'm rotating things and then I'm still moving it relative to an axis. So if anything pops, we'll know right away that there's a problem or not. So this is going to be called C underscore. You can call it pull vector or up vector. So up foot underscore L. I like calling it an up vector. Anyways, pull vector is fine too. Just if you understand both of them, that's fine. So if you and that's the important thing. As long as you understand that they are the same thing, you can talk to other people who use different terms. It's fine. So I'm just going to select this object and then control click on the IK handle. I can do it through the outliner. And all I'm going to do is go into constrain and go pull vector. Now let's keep an eye before I click it. Just keep, move your eyes to the leg, see if it's going to pop or not. And let's just click on this. It did not pop, but it added some visuals. So life is good. I mean, we really look at that. I'm moving it, and it almost looks like there is no constraint, but clearly there is. All right, so life is good. We're doing good. All right, so this control on the floor is really this root node is starting to be a bit of a pain in the butt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a NURBS primitive circle. And one of the, like we said before, one of the issues with this is that the interface won't allow us to go beyond, because it's designed, Maya, for some reason, a lot of things are designed for that decimeter scale, so that kind of sucks. But here's what we can do. You can actually bypass it here. So if I put it to 50, that'll match my grid. We know that the actual grid is 50 here and 50 across because of our settings. And I'm just going to turn it yellow. And when I transfer that to this object here, I'm going to select this and shift select that with no gizmos. And then I'm just going to go shape, transfer shape, right? And now this object can be selected by the circle, which means I can now turn off the joint display. So it's none. Now our root node is a circle, right? And you can even see that it's got a NURB shape on the root, so you know that it's the correct one. So that's good. As we're transferring stuff, you're gonna start noticing that there are these extra kind of transforms that are being left behind. Careful not to go to the make sure it's these curves and NURB square and all that. Because we've been transferring, we're leaving behind. We're shedding the skin basically. We're removing the skin and transferring it onto another node, and we're leaving behind the little transfer node. The transform node is not something we need, so you can delete it. Every time we transfer stuff, that happens. So when we're going to transfer this object's visual onto something else, like what we did here, that will happen again. All right, so now what we can do is, so life's good so far. We've done one leg. Every time you get some work done, I always save scene as. And now this is no longer skin, so this is going to be underscore MVP work in progress 01. So there we go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to need to have the same thing on the other side. And what we can do is we can go, okay, this guy, and this guy, here's what those objects are. And now just for giggles, I'm going to try deleting it and seeing what happens if I try to mirror it, okay? So I'm just going to delete these temporarily. We just saved, so we can always bring it back. Since this thing has a full hierarchy, if I were just to use the Maya tool for duplicating across, well, if I do it with this or not, it doesn't really matter. And one thing is, here, I forgot, this should be child of the root. So now it's there. If I open this up and open up the controller for the foot, here we go. This is the control. This is this guy and its hierarchy. We're gonna, if I use the tools from Maya, it's gonna it's gonna name things incorrectly, but I'll do it anyways just so you can see it. Mirror joints. For it to be on the x-axis, it's going to be a YZ alignment, and it's going to screw this up because I have something called underscore lift, and that's going to become underscore rift. But let's just try it. If I do apply, not so good. It didn't do a great job, and you could also, the naming is probably incorrect, so a lot of things didn't work out. So what we're going to do is we're going to just do a little undo here until we get that thing back. It shouldn't be a problem. If not, I could have just reloaded. And what we're going to do is this guy, and this guy, we're going to make them so we can see what color it is. Apply. All right, there we go. So we know these are the ones that we want to use. So when we make the duplicate over, we're going to try to make it so that the shapes are also, we're going to transfer these shapes onto them and delete the shapes that are going to be coming. So we could use this again, like we did, and you know what? Let's just do that, and then just change the naming so that way we use as much of Maya as possible. So by doing this, yeah, so it's created a little bit of a mess, but the orientations are correct and the naming should be close to correct. This is the right side, right? Almost correct. We'll just have to fix a few things, like instead of lower, we have roar, because it's not you just looking at the end of the word, it's looking at everything. So not a big deal. We're going to fix all this. We can close this. All right, so we can at least see the objects. So if I open up the shapes so I can see them, I'm going to transfer this mesh to this object here. Go shape transfer. All right, so now if I select this, it's selecting both of them. And if I look at this object, I have this curve, and that curve is a sub. So I can now grab this one, go delete. And it's deleted the curve that's attached to it. Remember that I made it so we can see the shapes. If this is off, then this object will close up and I can't see what's inside of it. All I can see is the child node after it, which is this object, right? So now we're going to do the same thing with the other object. So this object is going to need this visual. So I'm going to transfer this visual to this object. Go shape, add, transfer, yeah, shape slalom. And then this guy is also going to transfer to this object. Shape transfer, book. And that fixes that problem. Now we just have to delete these extra shapes that are on the object by going to shapes. Select the object. I press F in here. Should show me the object, and you can clearly see there are two NURBs. There's that one, and there's that one underneath. I'm going to delete the one underneath. And this object is over here. And there's this shape, and if you keep looking down, there's another shape down here. Also, this IK handle, not going to help us, so we don't need it. So let's do some cleanup while we're at it. This is the shape we don't need. I'm pressing delete, getting rid of it. So now we have pretty much a mirror version of the other one. And this shape is a little bit different than this one, and it worked out nicely. Whatever glitch caused this, maybe it was a mistake on my part. We could always copy this, put it and rebuild it over here, but for now it doesn't matter. It's not going to change the rig as long as the values are good and clean. We're good to go. And because we're doing all this, everything should be zeroed out as well, right? So if I look here, everything's still zeroed out. This is definitely zeroed out. How about this guy? He still has translations, so that's a thing. He doesn't. So for this guy to be fixed up, let's go to freeze, zero parent offset matrix. It gets zeroed out very nicely. And because we did that, let's give him his correct color. This guy also needs to be frozen. Why? Because the tool in Maya for mirroring does not take into consideration a offset parent matrix. So no problem. What we do is we come in here and we use this handy dandy zero to parent offset matrix. So it zeroes it out by dumping all the data into the offset parent matrix. cleaning out our object nice and clean. We're good to go. This is a nice clean way of setting it up. And the only thing we're missing really is this pole vector here. So if I'm going to parent it to this object. Whenever you're doing a mirroring, it's always good to make sure that it's parented to a hierarchy so it knows where the 0 is. That's the reason why yesterday when we were duplicating the fins, it was going to the wrong bone, because those tools are dependent on what its parent is for for it to mirror. So because it's mirrored now to the root, because it's a child of the root node, when I do a mirroring, I could use just the normal mirroring, or I could just use this one over here. Book, just bring it over here. It's the same thing, except it's better at naming, and it does a few other things for visuals that can help us. And because this side is a mirror of this one, the precision that we had here should be just fine. And it's named correctly, right? C up foot R. So controller up foot R. The only thing that we're going to change here is we're going to get rid of the shapes visuals, and we're just going to make sure everything has been named correctly. So this guy with his roar, it's like Scooby-Doo all of a sudden came in here and renamed everything. Okay, here we go. Oh, this is lift. This is fine. This is fine. But there's something funny here with the, why is this called C lift foot L? It didn't, it found the first one and then just gave up. It just didn't bother doing the rest. Okay. So yeah, definitely, but you want to use the tool that I have up here for naming. It does a better job. So we're doing okay here. So we have this like so, and then I'm just going to close this and maximize it by pressing Shift. When I press the little plus sign, it'll maximize everything. So we've got C foot R, C lift foot R, C root foot R, C lower foot R, C upper foot R. So those are the upper controls. And that's it. And then we have these guys outside. All right, so we're ready to go. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create an IK handle. So I'm going to go to skeleton, create IK handle. I'm going to click on try to click on the, because it's so thick now, it's much easier to click on. So I'm just going to click here and then click on, you can click anywhere on this bone. Do not click on the pelvis. So I'm just going to click on these lines. It'll know where it is. And it's created an IK handle, which if I move it, it seems to work. It did not pop at all. So that's good. That's a good thing. We're going to, because it's already selected, if not, it's right here. Just shift select the upper controller for the foot, make sure it becomes a child of that so that it will follow whenever I manipulate that. And while we're doing this, might as well set up our orientation constraints and then set up the pole vector. So pole vector, since we're already here, grab this object. I'm going to control click it here in because it's inside and it's difficult to find. It's really tiny. I'm going to go constrain. Where are you? Pole vector. Here we are. So keep your eye on the leg. See if it pops. Did not pop. Life is good. Where we've got our precision. We're doing things right. Okay, so this is nice. The other thing that's cool is if we select both of these and we go into rotate, it's going to do the mirroring. Right now we still have some constraints to do, so that should take no time at all. So if we go to constrain, orient constraint with options, just bringing it out so I can visually see that it says maintain offset. I'm going to select this object. I'm going to press Q to get rid of that, and I'm going to make it take over this skeleton node. And I'm just going to say, just make it follow this in rotation. So this will do the same thing for the toe, and I go apply. And now we're pretty much done setting up our reverse foot for the other side, and we're just going to test it. So it's definitely rolling off the ball of the foot. It's got no problems. And we have the heel in the correct spot, right? Yep. So I'm just going to change this to, oh my God, okay. World, there we go. Woo. Man, sometimes the hotkeys, because I'm pressing Control Shift right click, and that right click on a Wacom pen, whew, can be tough sometimes. So I'm going to rotate this. You can lift off the toe, and you can lift off the ball, and you can also lift off the heel. So life is good. We have liftoff, and later on when we're finished with the rig, this is what it's going to look like. There's nothing complicated about it. We can also move these guys further away if we wanted to. Yeah, because they might be a little too close if the foot passes this line. Here, I'll show you. If you pass through it, it's going to flip over, right? Because that's kind of normal. There's some skinning issues there we might want to take care of. But for now, this is just fine. I'm just going to click File Save. I'm just going to save over the whip 01. It's fine, but at least 01 is showing that we have this under control. Now let's get to work on the center of mass and making sure that we have controls for this. So for the center of mass, actually, if we're going to have that convention where square things are for IK and stuff like that, we might want to change this so that it looks more square. If that's the convention that we're using. And all I'm going to do is just scale these two. So it goes like this. It'll make sense once we... oh, got to be careful of that. So, great. Now it's radicalized. All right, so we're just going to do this manually. Come on. You don't want to... I think it is selected, but it's just not there. That's a viewport issue. So now I can just scale this down without scaling the object. There we go. That's about 50. I'm going to get out of this mode. Scary. All right. So that's good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create another one like this for the center of mass, but we're going to create circular ones for all the other bones going up, and the clavicle is also going to be a circular thing. And then we're going to put another square one over here in the arms and finish up the MVP. And then once the MVP has been completed, we will also do. We're going to set up the mocap transferring, and it's going to be a pretty big video. But we're 40 minutes in, and we've got the hardest part done. Let's see if we can get to do the rest quickly. So this should be easy enough. So we're going to go create NURBS circle. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to align this node directly with the pelvis. I'm going to go match translation and rotation. And then I should be able to deselect the pelvis by doing a shift drag, because we can't see this because we don't have X-ray on this. But we can definitely go in here and go to the NURBS section, go radius, let's try a radius of 50, maybe 40. 40 should be okay. Now all we need to do is rotate this shape. Although in this case, this object might be our controller after all. Oh, and yeah, so might as well just go like this and then go make this a yellow color because it's going to be the center mass. We could use it directly because it's a controller. It's fine. All we need to do is change the visual so that it is orientated the other way. So I'm going to go to sub mode and go select all. Good, it only selected these. And I'm going to go into rotate. Hold on to J while I do this. And there we go. Maybe a little too much. It seems like this is okay. Okay, so we have this object. And actually this is going to be good for maybe the pelvis. And then I'm just going to make, I'm going to get out of this mode. And then I'm going to make a clone, which is also going to be on the, well, in this case, everything is going to be relative to this point because that's where the center of mass is going to be, like the belt line. So we can move everything relative to the belt line. So this guy is going to go where this guy goes. Oh, this thing had like this error that's coming up. It's the color palette. There's some sort of mel command that's dying. So here you go. Everything's fixed. Well, we're going to need that back in a moment. Okay, so if I control click like this and match it, match translation and rotation, it's going to match that perfectly. And then we're going to have another one. This is going to be the center of mass. And then we're going to have another one that will control the the rotation from this point on, so just above it. So we can control this separately from the pelvis down here. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a duplicate of it and put it up here. Maybe we can change the circle alignment, but this is good for now. And then this guy, maybe we can bring it up a little bit so we can see that this is the lower part and this is the middle part. And then this object, actually it should be in the exact same spot as this guy. In fact, all of them should be in the exact same spot as this. So maybe what I'm going to do is, let's do this. Let's see, what's the best way to do this? What we could do is just make it so that we can align it to that guy and then just move the visual down. As simple as that. And these are going to be the objects that we're going to use to control these guys, because this controller will be parented to this one, and this controller will be parented to that one. And the fun part here is that in order for this to work, maybe we can just rotate, okay, here, let's just do this. Here, we'll grab this. Like so. Sorry for the confusion. I'm just trying to, like I always try to do it a little bit differently, and sometimes there's a little bit of problem solving to do. And I don't like I've mentioned, making a perfect video, because it's not helpful for you. It's good to see the work in progress, how you're breaking things down and how you're figuring and solving things. So I'm just going to make this object child, these two objects that are in white, because I selected them first, like this. And then I selected this object, and I'm going to press P. Also, I'm going to change this color. So let's see here. Where is the wireframe color thing? I'm going to make it purple, so it's different than the left side, but still something less. Apply. Close. So it's like this. Maybe we can make these little circles a little bit smaller. But what I'm going to do is now I'm going to match it to this guy. So I'm going to go match so that it's in the exact same place. And that's going to be this object, right? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go into sub mode. I'm going to go select all, then move it downward. This is just the visual that's going downward. And I can make it a little bit smaller. I'm just going to do a uniform scaling. So this is going to be the hip controller. See, so basically by doing this, you still have your point of pivot exactly in the right place, like so. And maybe we should name these. We could call this controller underscore pelvis. And this is going to be controller center of mass. And then this one at the top here, controller underscore upper spine. And we're going to just call it like this. You don't need to call it the exact name of the bone, so that way there's no confusion. These are controllers. How we use them will determine how the rest of the spine actually works. So this is nice and easy to set this up, I think. The only one that's named the same is pelvis, but I think that's okay. So basically this is at the correct place. So when we're going to rotate the pelvis, it's going to move from that point. This object is obviously in the right place. So when I move this, both of them follow along. And this guy, we're going to do the same thing that we did to the other object. I'm going to simply select this and select this, and then match it. All right, so now that we know which one's the upper spine, I can go into sub mode, select all, and move it so that it is out of the way and easily selectable. Then I'm going to scale it down so that it clearly describes that area. Something around here, maybe midway through there, because that's going to control this bone, and then we're going to have other controls for these other areas. So I'm just going to try to put them more or less in the middle. I think for the pelvis, this is nice, and that's it for that. So we have this controller now that's just fine and dandy, and let's take a look at its our values. because it's exactly in the same place and position, we don't need to freeze it. It's already naturally frozen because it's depending on its parent, and it's aligned exactly like it's got the same, it's in the same place, so it should be 0. This guy should be 0 as well. All we did was move the visuals, so that's okay, like the NURB curves. And then this is the one that is going to be child of the root. Press P. And to make this clearly not a like, just to make it so that it's clear that this is a controller, I'm going to go into sub mode. Oops. Let's get back this thing. And okay, so now that's a bit of a problem because it might be I can select it like so. Did it get everything? I think so. Although we actually, now that I think about it, I just need the corners. Maybe the easiest thing to do is just select this one and then go into sub mode. Okay, because the other ones are children. Okay, I see. So I'm going to have to do this manually. Hopefully I'm getting the correct ones. I just want to make it a little bit square. No big deal. Hopefully this is, I've selected the correct ones. I think so. Let's scale it now on one axis. So I can, seems to be working. Yep. And now I can select all of it by doing this kind of a selection with a proper alignment. And I should be able to, let's see if this works. Something like that. Just to differentiate it. Looks like it's fine. Just by aligning myself correctly, I was able to just select the ones I wanted. Now I can get out of this mode and we have ourselves something that clearly indicates a center of mass. And this is going to be something that we're going to be rotating and moving. All right, so now let's consider what kind of constraints we need. The first thing that we need to do, because this is the object that we're going to need to have to move around, it needs a point constraint to this object here. So I'm going to select the center of mass. I'm going to select the pelvis. I'm going to go into constrain, point constraint. We want it to follow. I know it's like point doesn't sound like what it is, but we're going to maintain offset and we're going to say just follow it. Now, when I move this, it's going to move the entire upper body. Now, the other thing that we need is if we do rotations, it's going to be weird because nothing's happening, but it's easy enough. This controller is going to control the pelvis's rotation. This one's going to control the first spine, and that's that. So let's select this. I pressed Q to get out of the, to not have the gizmo cause me any trouble. And then I shift selected the first spine, and I'm going to go to constrain, orient, so I can do it more than once with maintain offset, apply. And then this guy is going to control this guy's orientation. So now we should be pretty much done here. We have this to control the pelvis. If I move this, the pelvis also moves, and the spine does too. And then I've got this guy for controlling that part. Now, ideally, you'd put some more circles and more visuals here, but yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe we'll come back to that after and fix it up. This guy may need a freeze, a complete freeze with 0 to parent offset matrix, nice and easy. And now we have this where we have a 0 and it's easy to do, and we can control the upper body nice and easy. Nothing difficult there. Okay. Good. Now for what we could do, because we're starting to, we're getting to that point where some of these bones, maybe we shouldn't see them. So in the case of this pelvis, so here's a fun fact. The channel box is great for being able to select multiple things and doing them all at once. The attribute editor is great because it can show you things that the channel box can't, and it has more options. One of the ones I use all the time is draw style to set things visible or invisible. So maybe when you go to the channel box, when you select a joint, like let's just grab this one, and we want to be able to see that and be able to, so we can multi-select things and change their visual. If you go to edit, you're going to have channel control, and you don't need to do this, okay? I'm just showing you something that can help you do things quickly. So I'm just going to do channel control here. Big old list. There's going to be one called draw style, and I'm going to bring that into the non-keyable displayed things like the radius, just like the radius. These, what you need to look for here is where the arrow is. so you know in which section it's going to go into. So I'm just going to move it based on this. I want it to go over here, so I'm going to click the left button. Yes, the interface is fantastic. And from here on, because I have this change all selected objects of the same type on, it's going to make it so that is always available to me on all joints. So if I select this joint now, it should show it. Apparently not. Okay. This guy has it. This guy has it. No, I guess not. Okay, that's a new bug. Channel control. Let me just try that again. Draw style. Bring it into the non-keyable displayed. And then do I have to save or something? So we'll just close that now and see if it worked. Draw style bone. And it's not showing it to me on this one. Well. Okay, so no big deal. Usually that works. I don't know what is interfering with that. But anyhow, when it comes to shapes on like bones and things like that, sometimes it can be a little bit weird. Okay, but the point of it is, like we're tired of seeing the pelvis, we can go into attributes and just set it to none, right? And now it's gone, and we can focus on what's going on here. Since we have this already taken care of with that blue controller, we can make it go disappear. And now these guys are going to need some circles. This is a good way of filtering out what's been done, because when we're done, we shouldn't see any of that. So this is what we're going to be seeing. So it's a good way of doing kind of like a visual checklist. Later on, when we're doing the preheat, we will not be touching these because these have IK constraints on them. So all we need to do is really focus on this object and the pull vector. It'll take care of pretty much the leg and maybe even the foot control at most. And that's it. That's all we need to do for the whole leg. Make sure you do not include bones that are in a. This is the reason why we're doing the preheat later, is because these things would be destroyed by the HIK if we did a direct transfer of IK. So anyways, let's move on. We have all this done. Let's save. This time it's going to be a new version because quite a bit got done. Okay, now let's just do the IK hands real quick without using the buttons that I have up here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to create a squarish kind of shape here for the hand, and I'm going to put a pull vector, which is just going to be one of these guys. In fact, I'm just going to duplicate this over here and get ready for that. He has long arms, so we're going to need to have it far away, although we still have to do the alignment and all that stuff. So I'm just going to leave it here, and then this thing is going to be called C up arm underscore L. So C up arm underscore L. And I'm going to need a circle here. So I'm going to go create. Let's see. No. Yeah, it should have been here. NURBS circle. There we go. And I'm going to just make it so that it's a little bit bigger. You can go through anywhere you want. Radius. That's as big as it gets. That's okay. It might actually do the trick. And I'm going to shift select the hand and tell it match everything. It doesn't like that. Let me see. Match everything. Okay. There must have been something else selected. So if I select this now, in order to maintain this pivot point, all I'm going to do is I'm going to go into sub mode. I'm going to select all and go to rotation, hold J, and snap it into place. I think I need one more. Yeah, that's aligned with this. That should be good. Okay, so now I can leave this. And we're going to change the color of this. Modify, or actually display. We're going to do wireframe color. That's going to be blue. And now we have a blue controller for it. Maybe we might want to make it so that it's also squarish. Not a big deal. We can go back in here. Good thing about this guy is it's going to be easy to duplicate onto the other side. We're going to take that one, take that one. I'm pressing shift to select, multi-select it, and And all we're going to do is scale that like so, something like that. That's good. Okay. And I think we're done for creating our shapes. I think that's correctly aligned. And that'll be the controller. And then that'll be the pole vector. And this should be easy peasy. Did the scale, is it me with the scaling? I think that's why the visual was a little different. Okay, so anyways, point is, we're going to just create the skeleton, create IK handle. We're going to click on the hand, click on the bicep area, and it should create an IK handle that just goes from the wrist to the shoulder. Okay, so that's good. While you still have it selected, just press Q and shift select the circle, press P. So now it is a child of that. So if you move this, you don't need to do constraints for that. It's just a simple parent constraint is going to be fine. And we just need to rename this. So this is controller IK, wait, arm underscore IK, lowercase, right? That's our convention. So controller arm IK left. And this thing will be child of the center of mass. And we're going to freeze this with everything we got, the best one that we have, because this is the starting point. We want to be able to come back to this very quickly and easily. And then the other thing we're going to need is this thing. We already named it correctly. We can make it child of whatever we want. I'm just going to make it child of the root. It's already been done, so good that I did that. I'm just going to make a duplicate of these two on the other side. So this guy and this guy. Oh yeah, the default Maya one, you can't do this. So skeleton, mirror joints, apply. It doesn't like this object apparently. Error, a joint must be selected. Okay, well then, let's use the one I made. So apparently the mirroring thing only works for joints. That's great. Okay, so duplicate and mirror hierarchy. And so it's made a duplicate over here and it's named it correctly. And let's see how we do with this guy. Might as well just use the same thing again. And there you go. You've got something that's been named correctly and aligned correctly on the other side. So this is C arm IKR. All is good. Life is good. And the only thing we need to do is just change their colors real quick. Go to display and wireframe color. Make them pink. That's great. And yeah, so for this is easy peasy. All we need to do now is, well, we have the IK already working here, right? So this is already working. The only thing we need to do here now is get the pull vector going and get the IK to get the hand to follow the IK controller. So to get the IK controller to look to have the correct orientation, I'm going to select it like so, and I'm going to do a constraint. I'm going to attach this because I need them. Since we know already this is fine, I should be able to just click it. So now when I rotate this object, it does a correct thing. The other thing that I need is this has to go to the IK handle that is on the left side. Let me see here. Where is this? These are feet. I need, okay, so for the IK handle, I have this one here. Here it is. It's going to be inside of this. So here's the IK handle for the for that side. The one on the other side is not going to be good. We need to create that one. So let's just do that real quick. Skeleton, create IK handle. I'm going to click on the hand. And then on the bicep, it's created this IK handle, which then becomes child of this. So I'm just shift selecting. I'm pressing P. So now if I move this around, it follows nicely. There was no popping whatsoever. Now for this object, we want it to, we're going to align it with this. So we're just going to match this. So match translation and rotation. I can find it easily just by deselecting the arm. That's all that's there. And now I can go into object and I can move it nice and easy like that. And because we want this exact alignment on the other side, here's a neat little trick. You select this, select the other one, and then go to Align Mirror Transfer. Oop, and it'll put it exactly in the same place on the other side. So now that one's properly aligned. It sent it on the mirror world. Okay, so now that we have that, let's see here. We need to take care of these handles. So this is the IK handle here, and it's over here. And if I select this node and this guy, we are going to set a pull vector. I know I'm going a little fast. It's just that the video is getting long. So I just want to make sure this is okay. So there was no pop whatsoever again, right? You have to cross the line for it to do that, and up and down is fine. And then if we move this around, looks good. That hand's done. On this side, we have the IK done, and we just need to create a constraint for this IK handle. So if I select this and then click select the IK handle, we could do the pull vector. Keep an eye on that, see if it pops. Did not pop. All right. So then this object now is fine, and this object now is good for the elbow. So aside from some visuals, we can add some circles here for those controls. But for the most part, as far as the MVP goes, we have a way of we forgot. I forgot something. So this is fine, but this side is not. So we need to select this. I'm going to press Q, shift select that one, and we're just going to do an orientation constraint. And now if I do this, it's going to follow along. So basically for the arm, the only things that you need to deal with are this IK controller and this pull vector. So when you're transferring the mocap, that's all you need to worry about, and maybe the shoulders, right? Because the shoulders aren't part of the IK, so just make sure you're transferring IK on that. Okay, so we could do as I can make maybe a part 3 because this is already over an hour. So setting up the MVP, I'm just going to finish this video by putting a few visuals that make it a little easier to select. We could also make a lot of visuals for the fingers, but that is very time consuming. And it would be really good to have some scripts that do the little circles by finding midpoints and so on. But because we're not using any of the bacon strip tools, doing this manually is just time consuming. But here we go. Let's go and do just the spines and then save it as an MVP. And then I'll make a part 3 for the actual mocap transferring. So at least we'll have a full video on just how to set up an MVP on Lanky Kong. So let's just finish this up real quick. I'm going to create NURBS primitive circle. And this guy is probably going to need something like a radius of 40. Well, we'll see in a second. So in this case, we don't need to worry about much as far as alignment goes, because this is just a visual that we're going to be adding to some bones. So let me go and go wireframe color. Let me set this to, you might want to make these different color than the purple and the yellow. Maybe these should all be, well, it's fine. We'll keep it purple for now. And what we can do is just select this and go match. Just a translation. Okay, that circle is a little bit too much. Let's just go back in here and bring it down to 30. Is that too? Ooh, 35. 32. There, 32 is fine. Okay, and then maybe we can move it along just a little bit so it's a little bit higher, and then I'm going to make a duplicate of it by just shift selecting it. It's complaining about the color palette again, so no worries. It's just a silly thing. And then we have we're going to take this and we're going to make one for the clavicle. This one probably yes. This problem happens when you make duplicates of an object. You lose the creation aspect of it. So like just putting it like this, and then we're going to go into sub mode here and just select all of these. We'll scale the visual this way, and that will create something that we can use for the clavicle. So I'm just going to move this. I'm just going to eyeball it. And we should be able to create a duplicate of this onto the other side simply by going to duplicate mirror curve spline. And it should create a duplicate that is accurate on the other side. And now all we need to do is transfer these, right? And we can use the slalom tool. So we can go, this goes to this goes to this. Oh, maybe we should have one for the head. Not so much the neck, but at least the head should have it. Well, maybe the neck too. Before we go and lose these splines, I'm going to bring one up here for the head. Maybe a good way of doing this is you bring this, you give them a little halo, like so, and then make another one that is a little lower and rotated. Oof. The neck is not easy without an X-ray. This would be, even something like this may even do it. So if you go like this and you go select all for the neck, eesh, really not easy. Yeah, not going to be an easy thing to get the neck and the clavicle and the head. But I think with the little halo here, it's going to be fine. This will be good for the control for to select the head controller. And I think with that we should be okay. And I could go through all the fingers, but we don't really need it. Okay, so now I think we're ready to transfer all this stuff. The neck's going to be a real pain in the neck. We could make it so that you could select it from the back, but it's just, yeah, the neck, we'd have to make a special shape, I think, just to get to the neck with circles. This is one of the reasons why I don't like circles with no X-ray or thickness changes. Okay, so this guy goes to this. This goes to the neck. This guy goes to the torso. This guy goes to him. This guy goes to that. This guy goes to that. And I'm just going to go shape, transfer shapes, slalom. And it should now make it so that if I select this, I can test select and also turn off the visual. So that's good. I can do this. If I select this, that's the neck. And then the head. And then this is the torso. And this one, easy enough to select. None. There you go. All right, so if I turn off the X-ray for joints, this is what you would have. There's some work that would have to be done. At least the clavicle is easy to select. That's what's important. And the neck, you can easily select it. Maybe a little work on that, like I mentioned. And this is for the head. So the yes is done with this one, and the no is done with this one. Yep. Okay, so I think as far as MVP goes, this is an MVP. It's functional. The only thing that's really missing are the fingers. But I think just by having the joints there, you can make maybe these joints bigger so you can see the circles. It's not great, but it's not bad. Okay, I think with something like this, if you don't have the bacon strip tools for visuals, this is about as good as it gets. So that completes part 2. So it looks like there's going to be a part 3, which we're then going to do a mocap transfer. All right, so let me just save this, and that and this time it's not a whip, it's I'm going to save it as a whip 3 first, and then I'm going to save it again as an MVP. And I do that in case something happens to the MVP file. You never know. So it's just an extra little precaution. The only thing that's really needed here to make it a little bit more user-friendly is just some visual changes and so on. But for the most part, this should be pretty good. And I think we're going to make now, I'm going to make another video for that last bit. Oh, one thing I did notice is that we have a whole bunch of discarded NURB shapes, right? Get rid of that. And that should be okay. Let me just close this and just do a visual check. We have some of these constraints. I never like the fact that you see that in the outliner. This is not thousands of objects, so I think we're doing okay still, even though most often I don't even use Maya constraints because why are they in the outliner? And some constraints don't show up in the outliner, so that's kind of annoying. But for the most part, using out of the box Maya stuff, this is pretty good. So I'm just going to save it, and I think we're done.